Hi everybody, my name's Andy Robertson at KTDC IELTS Training Center. Today I'm going to talk to you about writing, IELTS writing. Specifically, I'm going to guide you through 2 IELTS reports and essays in the test and give you some feedback on these pieces of writing. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you guys about the general tips for doing writing. As you know, IELTS writing is 2 questions, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 is a report. It's summarizing data, a map, a graph, a bar chart, a pie chart, a process, and you have to write a short report where you're describing information in about 20 minutes. This will be a 3 or 4 paragraph essay, and you're not required to give any opinions. All you need to do is summarize what's in front of you. Part 2 is very different. It's worth double the score, and it's a 40-minute essay rather than a report. It means that you must express opinions or evaluate the opinions of other people about various social and cultural issues. It could be evaluating a problem and offering a solution, or agreeing or disagreeing with an idea. It's a much longer essay. It's going to be 4 to 5 paragraphs, and as I said, it's 40 minutes long, so it's a great deal longer, and it's worth double the score. So my first tip would be, make sure that you do Part 2 writing, the longer 5-paragraph or 4-paragraph version first, as it's worth more points. And Part 1, your report, is going to be shorter, 150 words minimum, 3 to 4 paragraphs. You should do this second. Always remember that Part 2 is worth more than Part 1. For example, if you get band score 7 in Part 2 writing, the essay, and you only get 6.5 in Part 1 writing, the report, you'll still get band score 7 overall, because the higher score, the essay Part 2, will be counted more than Part 1. Also, I'd like to tell you guys that probably the biggest issue all students at all levels face, if it's beginner level, intermediate level, or advanced level, is timing. A lot of students really struggle with timing in their essays, and this is something that we really look at KTDC, how to manage your time effectively. So we're going to start with Part 1 writing, and I'm going to take you through this and give you some information about how this can be done most effectively. If you look at my screen here, we have a question. The bar charts show past and forecast rates of reforestation in 4 countries and worldwide, and the pie chart shows current interest in reforestation. Write a report to your university lecturer summarizing the data and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. So the first thing I need to do, I have 20 minutes, is take a look at the graph itself. We have about 2 minutes to analyze the data. As you can see here, we have 3 different diagrams, 2 bar charts, and a pie chart. Then we have 15 to 16 minutes of writing time, where we write here, you see 174 words, and this particular student has done 21 minutes, 174 words. That's pretty good. The minimum is 150, 20 minutes, 21 minutes is still reasonable. You can certainly pass the test with 21 minutes. And the final step, after 15 or 16 minutes of writing, is to check your work. Probably the second biggest problem after basic timing is making sure that you eliminate all the unnecessary mistakes. These are some of the mistakes that really bring down the scores for students in grammar and vocabulary, particularly simple mistakes like plural and single nouns, verb tense, verb and subject agreement. This can really affect a student's score. So make sure you build in 2 to 3 minutes of checking time at the end. To summarize, 2 minutes to look at the diagram, 15 to 16 minutes to write your report, and then 2 to 3 minutes at the end to check your work. If you're able to finish with 150 words in about 20 minutes, maybe 21 minutes, maybe 19 minutes, that's going to be perfect. And remember, you're going to need 40 minutes for Part 2 writing as well. Whether you do Part 2 first or Part 1 first, you need to balance the 2 essays, the report and the essay, very, very clearly so that you complete both. Another common mistake is that students spend far too long on one of the two parts and do not complete the second. So you make sure that you balance your time. So let's look at our part 1 report. This is called a mixed chart or mixed graph report because we have more than one graph. As you can see, we have a bar chart at the left side here showing reforestation forecast between 2006 and 2025. Now, please note that 2025 is in the future. So we need to use prediction language to show the reader that we're talking about what might happen in the future. We call this prediction language. The second graph is also a bar chart, but this is a simpler bar chart which shows the worldwide reforestation rate. That means the whole of the earth. And again, the first date is 2015. This will be past simple tense. And 2025, we need to use prediction language to show that it's unsure for the future. The third diagram shows a pie chart, and this is about the current interest in reforestation. So we need to quickly summarize the 3 parts of this pie chart. As you see, it's fairly simple. It's just summarizing the proportion or the percentage. So how to organize this type of essay or report? It's very simple. First of all, we need an introduction. The introduction contains 2 elements. I'll highlight here, you see, first of all, we have an introduction sentence. Now, the introduction sentence is normally just a paraphrase. It's a paraphrase. I'm going to highlight this into yellow here. It's a paraphrase of the original question. If we go back to the top, you can see the bar charts show the past and forecast rates of reforestation in 4 countries and worldwide. And the paraphrase says the bar charts illustrate the expected reforestation rate in multiple regions in different years. So it's the same meaning, but slightly different words. I'm going to highlight here for you. And the same. So we're actually highlighting and then we're paraphrasing the sentence so that it says the same thing, but using slightly different words. Please make sure that you do use slightly different words. If you just copy the question, you will get 0 in task achievement for this part of your report. So you must paraphrase. After the paraphrase sentence, the introduction sentence, we have something which we call the overview or summary. An overview. What's an overview? Well, an overview tells the reader, let me just highlight this into light blue here. The overview tells the reader what the main trends or main comparisons of the report are. It doesn't give too much detail, but it gives us a short summary of what's in the 3 charts. Let me read for you. On the other hand, the pie chart reflected current levels of concern regarding reforestation. Overall, most areas are projected to experience increases. Additionally, the majority expressed considerable interest in reforestation. Now, this is one of my students who has written this. There's a couple of small mistakes. She has given the correct information. She tells us what is being shown in the 2 graphs. Excuse me, I'm going to put this into yellow here. There we go. Overall, most areas are projected to experience increases. That is true. If you look at the graphs here, you can see Ireland, Thailand, Hungary and Tasmania, and worldwide, they all appear to be going up in the future, which is fantastic. And you can see here, they are projected to experience increases. We use this phrase, are projected to, because it's unsure. It's about the future. You could also say expected to. You could also say forecast to experience increases. Additionally, the majority expressed considerable interest in reforestation. So I would actually change this a little bit and say a majority, and maybe add a couple of words here. A majority of people expressed considerable interest in reforestation. And as you can see from the pie chart, 39% concerned and 25% very concerned. Together, this is, let me work it out here, 64%. And this is what we call a considerable majority. That's over 50% expressed considerable interest in reforestation. So she gives us an introduction to the graphs of graph 1, 2, and 3, and then she gives us an overview or a summary of the three graphs, summary number 1 and summary number 2 about the bar charts and the pie charts. Then, moving on to the second paragraph, this is our first detail or body paragraph. This is where, as you can see, she tells the reader regarding the bar graph. It tells the reader, now we're looking at the bar graph. Let me do this in green here. Regarding the bar graph, Ireland began at 1.4%, 2006. This is important. She tells us the first country, Ireland, and she tells us the first year, 2006. And then she goes on, she says, then steadily rose to 1.5% in 2015. Notice that the tense, rose and began, these are both past simple tense because it's 2006 and 2015. Now I'm speaking in 2020, so these are dates in the past. So we must use the past simple tense. That's good consistent grammar. But now she changes the tense a little bit here. She says, is forecasted to reach 1.7%. We say forecasted because you see the year 2025 is in the future. The highest rate among the countries. Good grammar and also correct. Ireland, as you can see, is the highest of the 4 countries. After Ireland, she moves to Thailand. So the second country, Thailand, whose percentage stood at 1%, 2006, remains stable in 2015 and is projected to grow to 1.3% in 2025. So very simple. She gives us the name of the country. She tells us the starting date and the starting percentage. She tells about the middle, and then she projects or forecasts the ending percentage in 2025. And then, this is very good. She says here, in addition. This is a good transition word. This connects our countries together. You can say, firstly, furthermore, in addition, moreover. One word that you should probably not use in academic writing is besides. I see many students do this, and this is not to be used as a transition word. It's normally used in conversation. So I would use a proper academic transition, connecting details, in addition, moreover, additionally. You can even say also, but don't say besides. It's not really an academic word. In addition, Hungary's rate started at 0.5%, the lowest among the 4. The figure then climbed, notice the tense, climbed, past simple tense, climbed to slowly to 0.6% 2015. This is really good. She's used climbed, past tense, and then she's used an adverb, slowly, climbed slowly, and is forecasted to increase dramatically to 11%. Just a quick note, sometimes you will see that the forecast like this is used, is forecast or is forecasted. This is because forecast is an irregular word. We sometimes hear it used as forecast, but actually in modern usage, we often see forecasted as well. They're both acceptable. Forecast or forecasted to increase dramatically, that means a big change, to 11% in 2025. And then she gives us another transition. She says, similarly. This indicates to the reader that our trends, our change is similar to the previous countries. Similarly, Tasmania began at 1.2% 2006 and rose gradually to 1.5% in 2015, The rate is also expected. Notice she says also expected. Also because it's the same behavior as the other countries. Also expected to rise to 1.6% 2025. Additionally, good transition, the worldwide rate is forecast or forecasted to slightly grow from 1% in 2015 to 1.3% in 2025. So let's take a little break there. Why is this an excellent body paragraph? Well, this is one of my best students who wrote this, and in fact, this student has taken the real IELTS test, and she got band score 8. And this is what I would expect from a student with a band score 8. She's really summarized these 4 countries and the worldwide rate very, very well. She includes all the data. She separates each country one by one. She starts at the beginning of the period, 2006, and she indicates the end of the period. So I can take this paragraph and I can hand it to a secondary or high school student in the UK or the US, and I could ask that student to draw the graph for me. You remember mathematics class in secondary or high school? You have to draw graphs for your teacher. Well, I could give this description to a high school student and ask them to draw this graph, and they would be able to draw the graph quite accurately. This is a definition of good task achievement, a definition of a high band score report. It's accurate, easy to read, well organized, and the data, as I said, is accurate, and that's the key. Also, the language is very, very clear. This student understands that you must have simple, clear vocabulary when describing a report. Some students, especially higher level students, try far too hard to have complicated vocabulary or complicated grammar, and they end up making lots of mistakes, and this eventually lowers their score. To get a really, really good language score, keep your vocab and grammar simple, but keep it accurate. That's the key to a good vocab and grammar score. So let's move on. She now talks about the pie chart. She says, on the other hand, around 39% of the surveyed population expressed concern. Can you see? About reforestation. Very simple. Let's go to the top. 39% concerned. She's paraphrased this to be expressed concern. That's fine. Expressed concern. Let me just highlight this phrase for you guys. I think we're going to choose yellow. There we go. About reforestation. While an additional 25% revealed their concern levels as very concerned. Now, actually, here is our first little mistake in language that I can see. First of all, I wouldn't say revealed their concern. It sounds a little bit overblown and wordy. I would simply say something like, instead of revealed their concern, had and we can say here, had a great deal of concern, and then there we go. That's going to be a slightly more accurate phrase. Or they expressed a great deal of concern, they had a great deal of concern. And then finally, the remaining 36% expressed no level of interest in this issue. And again, I would simply say, don't need those words. They expressed no interest in this issue. The rule is, for part 1 writing especially, is keep it simple, use less words, not more. As long as you summarize the data accurately, you're going to get a really, really good score. And as I said, 174 words in 21 minutes is perfect. Sometimes you may need to write a few more words, maybe 180, 190, but once you get above 200 words, you're probably wasting your time and there's no need to write that many words. Your job is to take complex information and keep it simple, describe it, and you are always governed by the time, which is going to be close to 20, maybe 21, maximum 22 minutes. If you can hit 170, 180 words and have enough time to check through the work carefully as this student has done, you're going to get a really, really good score. And just to say, remember that you are being scored in 4 different ways. The first way is task achievement, which is the information you provide. Have you answered the question? The second is the organization of your essay, or the coherence and cohesion grade. This is about good paragraphing, logical order, and making sure that everything connects together in the correct way. And then your other 2 grades are lexical resource, or vocabulary, and grammatical range and accuracy, which is also called grammar. These are the 4 ways that you are scored. And in the case of this student, she's done very well here. And I would say this is a model for a high-level student at KTDC. It's a very, very good example of good reporting. And I think that's it, guys.